Good morning. Is that too loud? Loud. Okay, I guess it's time to get started this morning. Got a light crowd, but a crowd that's enjoying some fellowship. Okay, how's everybody this morning? Nice and warm? So I was trying to decide what I was going to wear today, and I couldn't figure out how to do a sports coat, be able to do the microphone, and still stay warm. So I chose a sweater instead. So I'm warm. I hope you guys are too. We're going to talk just a little bit this morning about Abraham, and Morris is not here today, but Morris came up to me after class 2 weeks ago, I guess, last time we were together, and he said, you know, when Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, God provided another sacrifice. And the parallel to that is we couldn't earn our way to heaven, so God provided another sacrifice for us, just like he did in place of Isaac. So, like I said, Morris wanted to make sure that was said, so when you see him, you can tell him that I said that in class. Now, I believe with all my heart that Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac. He was going to do it. So, but it's hard to understand why. But if you look over in Hebrews chapter 11, you find out the answer to that. The answer is that Abraham believed that God could raise him from the dead. So he was willing to sacrifice him, believing that God could raise him from the dead. So that's why he was willing to do it. So Abraham has come a long way from laughing when God promised him a son to being willing to sacrifice his son, believing that God could raise him from the dead. His faith has grown a lot in that period of time. So, I told you today we'd be talking about Moses. But before we talk about Moses, we need to talk about the amazing things that happened to fulfill the promise that Israel would be in captivity for 400 years. It's really amazing what happened. So, we're going to be talking this morning at first about Isaac. Isaac marries Rebekah, and Abraham did not want him to marry a Canaanite, so he married Rebekah from Abraham's family, and Isaac repeats the lie that Abraham told. Isaac says, Rebekah is my sister. So Isaac repeats the lie. And Isaac and Rebekah have two sons. Who are their two sons? Jacob and Esau. And now, Jacob and Esau, they were just wonderful, great, honest children, right? No? What happened? They weren't perfect children. Who did Rebekah love? Who? Jacob. Rebekah loved Jacob. So when Isaac was old, he couldn't see well. So Rebekah loved Jacob. So what did she tell Jacob? What did they do? What was their plot? Do what? Pretend to be Esau. Esau was a hunter. He had hairy arms. And so they took some, was it sheep or goat, maybe goat hair, put it on skin, put it on his arms. She made up some food, pretending that it was Esau that had made up the food. Esau was off hunting for his father, and Jacob comes in, and Isaac rubs his arms because he can't see him, and he gets given Esau's birthright, which causes a big problem. In fact, Jacob, for years and years and years, was in total fear of Esau. But later on, they meet, kind of make up, and everything's okay. But that's not what we're really wanting to focus on here. So Jacob goes away, and he goes to Laban, and he works for Laban for 7 years for what? For Rachel. Rachel was beautiful. He fell in love with Rachel the first time he saw her, and he wanted to marry her. So he makes an agreement with Laban, and he says, I will work for you for 7 years for her. And of course, Laban, being the 100% honest man that he was, what did he do? Yeah. So instead of Rachel, he got Leah. So he was, when he realized that, which, you know, for us, that's kind of hard to understand. But it took him a while to realize that. And when he realized it, he was angry. He goes to Laban and says, what have you done to me? Laban says, well, it's okay. It's still a woman, right? It's no problem.
Was it you the oldest?
I don't know. I don't know that. Leah was the oldest, okay. Well, so Laban makes another deal with him. Work for me for another 7 years, and then you can have her. So he does. Works for another 7 years. And then the story gets worse. So he has 2 wives. They're jealous of each other. Leah has children. Rachel can't have children. So Rachel does what? What does Rachel do? What did the women do back then when they couldn't have a child? Yeah, gave him a servant. She had children, and then Leah becomes jealous, so she gave him a servant, had more children, and then finally Leah had more children. Finally, Rachel has a child named Joseph, which all of that, to me, the whole thing is just amazing. So they have Joseph. Now, Jacob was just an awesome man, right? We know he lied about who he was so he could get the birthright. He didn't really treat his wives very well. Now he has this son who he loved so much more than the others. Jacob was not a very good man. But he still was given the promise in his dream that Abraham and Isaac had been given, that he was going to be blessed and be a great nation. Despite all that, God still was going to keep his promise.
Dawn, something, I taught a class one time on Rachel. And, you know, we think Rachel got the short end of the stick, right? But Jesus came through Joseph.
Absolutely. That's right.
So
That's right.
and she got the blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all got the blessing, I think.
Right.
I think we all got the blessing. But that's right. So the kids get grown. They're out doing their things. They have a sister that is raped. So two of the brothers go and kill everyone in that city. They kill them all because of what had happened to their sister. They didn't just kill the person that raped their sister. They killed them all, everybody. So later on, as they're older, they hate Joseph. And so they have a plot. We all know the plot. They're going to kill him. But after some discussion and one person trying to take care of his brother, they sell him into slavery. And where does he end up? Egypt. Now, God made this promise way back to Abraham, right? Look at all the things that had to happen. Joseph goes to Egypt, and he is in slavery, but he can interpret these dreams. And he ends up, eventually, he ends up in prison because Joseph is a good man. What did he refuse to do that caused him to end up in prison?
Sleep with Potiphar's wife.
He did. He refused to sleep with Potiphar's wife. And she accused him. Potiphar had him thrown in prison. He interprets dreams. Eventually, he ends up in Pharaoh's house, saves Egypt and his family because of the famine. And that is how the Israelites end up in Egypt in slavery for 400 years. Who could make up that story? I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible story through all of these things. By the way, because of the famine, Jacob and all of his sons go to Egypt. And that's how all of Israel ends up in Egypt. And they start multiplying. Eventually, the Pharaoh that favored Joseph dies. They're put into slavery. And if you want to turn with me, turn to Exodus chapter 1. We're going to look at 8 through 22. Exodus chapter 1, 8 through 22. I can't turn my pages this morning. My fingers aren't working. If someone would begin reading at 8 and stop about halfway till you get to 22, and then somebody else pick up and read from there on.
Then a new king, whom Joseph meant nothing, came to power in Egypt. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become fight against us and leave the country. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built Highland and Ramesses as store cities for Pharaoh. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread and worked them. And the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor and brick and mortar, with all kinds of work in the fields, and all the harsh labor the Egyptians worked them ruthlessly.
Somebody want to pick up at 15?
The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shiphrah and Puah, when you are helping the Hebrew women during childbirth and in the delivery stool, if you see that baby as a boy, kill him. But if it's a girl, let her live. The midwives, however, feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt had told them to do. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" Midwives answered Pharaoh, "Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive." So the king was kind to the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people: every Hebrew boy that is born, he must throw in the Nile, and let every girl live.
Okay, so God is getting ready to do another miracle. All the Israel children are to be thrown into the Nile, males, all the males, because he's afraid they're going to get too numerous and they're going to take over. And they want to keep them enslaved because they're building all these buildings for them. They're making bricks and doing all their construction, and they don't want them to have too many people, because if they do, they will overthrow them. And so he wants to kill all the male children. And now if you'll turn over to, we're going to start chapter 2. If somebody would just read 1 through 14. Chapter 2, 1 through 14.
Now a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she took a papyrus basket for him and covered it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. The Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. And when the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." One day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw 2 Hebrews fighting, and he asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known."
So, Moses was a miracle baby. I mean, he got put in a basket and put in the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter finds him, has someone go get his mother to come and nurse him and care for him. He grows up in Pharaoh's house, basically is the child of Pharaoh's daughter. And he's I doubt that he has to do much of anything, but he's walking around and he sees these people, this guy beating a Hebrew, and he kills him. And he looks around, and there's nobody around that he can see, so he buries him in the sand. So, now, just let me ask this question. Do you think Moses did that because he knew he was a Hebrew, or did he just think that this is not right to be beating this man? Why did that anger Moses so much to the point that he killed this man? I mean, we don't know the answer. This is just an opinion. What do you think? Why do you think he did that?
Didn't he say he was, notice he was one of their own? I think he mentioned it.
He saw the Jews.
He knew
When
he,
he grew one of his brethren.
Okay.
the first time he's meeting one of his own, he was out watching them work. So I think he knew.
He knew. So he knows, he gets angry, he kills the man, and then the next day, he thinks he's gotten away with it. Nobody saw it. He thinks he's gotten away with it. But he hears, or he sees two Hebrew people fighting, and he tries to break that up, and they say to him, "What are you going to do? Kill us like you did the Egyptian?" And Moses is shocked. And he's scared because he's caught. What do you think would have happened if Pharaoh found out that Moses killed an Egyptian?
Kill Moses.
He certainly would have killed Moses. Even if he loved Moses, he had to make an example of Moses. He could not let the Hebrews get away with killing an Egyptian. Because if you do, that might lead to more killing of Egyptians. So Moses runs away to Midian. Now, once again, these stories are just amazing. So, I'm not saying Moses had to leave Egypt to encounter God at the burning bush, but isn't it interesting that he does? He leaves there, he goes to Midian, and I'm in 15 through 25 now, but we're just going to talk about it because it's already 25 after. I've only got 3 more weeks, and I've got to go to Winterfest, so I got to get on through this stuff. So Moses goes to Midian. He defends the daughters of the Mennonite priest, or the priest of Midian, when they're trying to get water at the well. One of the daughters, Zipporah, becomes Moses' wife, and Moses is out one day and he sees this bush. And there's something interesting about this bush because it's on fire. It's on fire, but what doesn't happen? Just keeps burning. Doesn't burn it up. I've seen a lot of fires. I've never seen one that didn't consume whatever it was burning. So Moses says, I've got to go see this. And at this point, The Egyptians have been in slavery for how long? The Israelites have been in slavery in Egypt for how long? About close to 400 years. Close to 400 years. God remembers his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Moses goes over to the bush and he hears something. What does he hear? Yeah, what does God say? You're walking on holy ground. Take off your shoes because you're walking on holy ground. And he tells him, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And I have heard Israel's cries. And I'm going to send you, Moses, to deliver them. And Moses cheers, right? He's all excited. No? What does he do? Tries to get out. Who am I? I'm not going to go down. First of all, he knows I might get killed if I go back down there. And he doesn't have a lot of self-confidence, right? Moses really doesn't have a lot of self-confidence. But God said, and Moses said, well, who will I say that you are? And God says, what? Say, I am that I am. And God tells him the Israelites will leave Egypt with plunder. Not only are they going to get to leave, they're going to take wealth with them from the Egyptians. In Exodus 4, 1 through 10, I'll read that. Moses answered, what if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, the Lord did not appear to you? Then the Lord said to him, what is that in your hand? The staff, he replied. The Lord said, throw the staff on the ground. Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and he ran from it. Then the Lord said to him, reach out your hand and take it by the tail. So Moses reached out and took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. This, said the Lord, is so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. Then the Lord said, put your hand inside your cloak. So Moses put his hand into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was leprous, like snow. Now put it back into your cloak, he said. So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. Then the Lord said, if they do not believe you or pay attention to the first miraculous sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these two signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground. Okay, so God shows him who he is and what power he has. And once again, we've seen all the way through the stories that we've been talking about how God over time molds people to what he needs them to be. He changes them. He matures them, just like he's maturing us each and every day, just like he matured the Israelites as they wandered in the wilderness. You know, they over and over and over and over again, the Israelites lost their faith in God, and he had to continually show them signs that he was their God, over and over and over again. So he's doing that with Moses. So, but Moses still has he's got one more thing he's going to throw up to try to keep from doing this. What's the next thing that he says? I'm not real good at talking. You know, I think I told you at first of this class, when I was in my 20s, I went to take Toastmasters because I was horrified speaking in front of people. I literally could not do it. So I'm still horrified, but I can do it now. But I understand where Moses is coming from. That is a fearful thing. It would be even more fearful if you were talking to Pharaoh. Probably the most powerful human on earth at the time. But Moses, God tells Moses, what does he tell him? Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. What does he tell him? I'll tell you what to say, but he also gives him a backup, right? Aaron. He said, Aaron will speak for you. Okay? So that kind of gets Moses over the hump. So he goes to Pharaoh and tells him, you need to let our people go. We want to go out into the wilderness and do what? Worship. And how far were they going to go? Anybody remember? 3 days. They were going to go 3 days out into the wilderness and worship God. Of course, Pharaoh says no. In fact, it makes Pharaoh angry, and he makes the Israelites, work even harder. They're making bricks. What does he take away from their brick making? Straw. Takes away their straw. They have to work even harder. It's more miserable than it's ever been before. So Moses goes back to Pharaoh and to prove to Pharaoh that God is powerful. He throws down his staff and it turns into a serpent. How many people here like snakes? I know there's some. I know there's one. There's two. I hate snakes. I was baling hay. No, I wasn't. I was raking hay one time. No, I'm sorry. I was cutting hay. And I saw this snake go over the mowing machine sickle. And the reason I was cutting the hay is because my grandmother had died. And the hay had to be cut. And I was, 14, 15 years old. And so I was left with the responsibility of cutting and raking the hay. And so I was cutting the hay, and I see this snake go over the mowing machine sickle, and it is, I had never ever seen a copperhead that wasn't dead. But it was clear this was a copperhead. His head was just like a penny, a bright penny in the sunlight. And so I kept trying to cut that copperhead in two. And I couldn't, every time I'd lay the mowing machine blade down, he would just slide over the top of the hay, And so he was about to get away. By the way, don't tell the Tennessee Wildlife Resources people that I killed a snake. Even though it was 50-something years ago, they might come back and get me. But anyway, so I finally got the rear tire of the tractor on the tail of this copperhead. And he was sitting there striking that tire. And let me tell you, for a 14-year-old kid, that was a vicious attack on that tractor tire. I mean, It looked like he was hitting it so hard that he was bouncing off. Anyway, to finish up the story, eventually I laid the blade on top of the snake and I killed it. But I'm telling you all that to tell you, I hate snakes. And if God told me to grab the tail of a snake, I'm not sure I could do that. But anyway, Moses did. He throws it down, turns into a snake, and of course Pharaoh goes and gets his magicians. They come out, they do the same thing, and so Moses does not let the people go. Now we hear over and over and over in this story that Pharaoh's heart was hardened. So that leads you to believe that was God causing Pharaoh's heart to harden. Now, why would he do that? He's wanting the people to be turned loose. Why would he harden Pharaoh's heart to make him not release them?
Show the power of God.
I think that's right. I mean, again, this is an opinion. I think he wanted to show more signs, to show that I am. So the next thing that Moses does when he comes to Pharaoh is, by the way, Moses' snake swallows the magician's snake. So next thing he does, turns the Nile to blood. All the fish in Nile die. Got to be a big food source for the Egyptians. Still, Pharaoh doesn't let them go. Next, frogs all over the land. I can handle frogs. I mean, snakes, I don't know about. But frogs everywhere. I mean, can you imagine just frogs everywhere? And then the Egyptian cattle die. Then the Egyptians have boils. Then there's hail, locusts. Then there's darkness over the land. And, you know, Moses keeps telling Pharaoh, let our people go, let our people go. But again, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. And I find it, this is just a Don thing, but I find it interesting that most of the things that God does in terms of miracles, he uses nature a lot, a whole lot. Frogs, gnats, hail, locusts. I mean, he uses nature a lot because he's in control of nature. You know, think about when Jesus was walking on the water. There was a storm, right? And he's walking on the water. Anyway, it's just a side thing from me. So there's going to be one final plague, and it's going to be a bad one. It's going to be a really bad one. And God tells the Egyptians, the Israelites, to prepare for this plague so that they don't have to suffer the same thing as the Egyptians in this plague. And that plague is that the firstborn child of all the Egyptian households is going to die. Do you notice a little similarity there? What decree did Pharaoh give about the Egyptian males? They were going to die, right? And now God is saying the firstborn of all the Egyptians is going to die. And then he tells the Israelites that to prepare for that they are to kill a lamb. And we're going to get into more details, but they're going to kill a lamb. They're going to put the blood over their door, but if they do that, they will be protected from this plague. Throughout Scripture, there are signs and similarities of what God has done for us. And this is another one. Passover. In reality, we're living in a Passover ourselves. We're going to be passed over the last and final death because there's been a sacrifice for us. So this is very similar to Jesus, and it's kind of foretelling what's going to happen for us down the road with Jesus. We're going to get into some details about it next week. So I'll be here next week. The following week I'm going to Winterfest, so I won't be here. So I'll find someone to teach that class. And I probably will teach through the first Sunday in March, and then I'll be done. But this is a shameless plug, but if you can't be to any of the other classes, please try to be here for the last one. Because this whole thing that I've been doing is to get to that last class. And I want you to be here for that last class. So, don't forget, these people that God are using, they're not perfect people. They sin. We see that over and over again. So just keep that in mind. But God still loves them. He still uses them. So I hope you all have a good rest of the day and try to stay warm. It'll be hard, but try to stay warm. Thank you.
Well,
Abraham.